This is a SONOFMAN presentation. As y'all all know, frequencies of thought, this is where we literally open up our celestial ears and we literally interpret and understand the world and all the things within the world with our consciousness, which envelopes the universe. For your mind is a replica of how space is ever expanding. Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Frequencies of Thought.
H3 Music.
Pando killed the beat.
And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 66.
Allowing the governor to close the park. If there is, then it would be legitimate. Let me put it very clearly. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread the disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you? No right not to be vaccinated? Meaning, if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm. If the vaccination
Where is that in the Constitution?
If the vaccination is designed to prevent the spreading disease. If the vaccination is only to prevent a disease that you will get. For example, if there's a disease that will kill you, you have the right to refuse that, but you have no right to refuse to be vaccinated against a contagious disease. Public health, the police power of the Constitution, gives the state the power to compel that, and there are cases in the United States Supreme Court. Case that pops into my head, I may have the name wrong, is Jacobson. I think probably I have it right. Check it out. You'll see that there are cases after cases after cases that the public health permits reasonable actions to prevent the spread of communicable diseases. Most of them grow out of tuberculosis cases in the early 20th century, but some are more recent than that. But there's still an issue of whether the governor has the authority to create laws, and that's a matter of state legislation.
But you've opened up a whole new area here. So the governor has the right, the government has the right to force someone to be vaccinated. But how do we know what they're providing us from a medical standpoint is accurate? There are doctors who argue that Anthony Fauci is totally wrong in his assessment, and it certainly seems like week to week, month to month, they don't seem to know anything about this virus.
I agree with that. I mean, I think there's a lot. I wrote an article early on pointing out two fundamental errors right away. But that's what a democracy is about. And if the majority of the people agree and support that for public health measures, you have to be vaccinated, you have to be vaccinated. They should give you an alternative. The alternative is to live in your home. Don't get vaccinated, but never, ever leave your home or live in a bubble. But if you want to interact with other people, you cannot become typhoid Mary. The Constitution doesn't give you the right to spread your illness to other people. And you can disagree, you can be a dissenter, you can leave the country, you can go into a bubble. But what you can't do is say, I don't disagree, I don't agree with Fauci, therefore I'm going to take the law into my own hands and decide to spread the disease. That's not a constitutional right. Sorry.
But Professor Dershowitz, how can you support a law that's made on the determination by a doctor? If you went to the doctor today and he determined that we need to chop off your leg, wouldn't you get a second opinion before you went and did what that doctor said?
I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't even listen to that doctor. We're not talking about it based on a doctor. We're talking about it based on the legislature. Based on the legislature's decision being upheld by the highest courts and by the Supreme Court, we're talking about democracy. The doctor doesn't make the decision. The decision's made by the government through democratic means. And if the decision is made by the government, if they told you you had to cut off your leg, that would be unconstitutional because your leg doesn't help them. Let's assume that the doctor says to you, unless you cut off your leg, you'll die. You have a right to die. You don't have to cut off your leg. But if the doctor says, unless you cut off your leg is contagious and will spread your disease to many, many, many other people, that's a completely different issue. Constitution.
If this legislation is based on the determinations made by doctors and they've determined about, we're mixing the fields of medicine and law, and the proof of something in law seems vastly different than the proof of something in medicine. A lot of the people who are advising us as to the future of vaccinations in this country are the very same people who have been kicked out of major countries for serious failures and injuries resulting from vaccines that they felt were going to be beneficial. I'm very troubled by the legality of what you're suggesting because it seems like we're very close to a government mandate that we must all be vaccinated. Let me take you in another direction.
I would like to see a government mandate. If the safe vaccine is developed for COVID-19, I hope it's mandated, and I will defend it and will argue that in the Supreme Court of the United States against your views.
And you would get it if they came out tomorrow and said there's a vaccine that's ready?
If one online, my children would get it, everybody would get it. If we felt it was safe, we'd make our own, obviously,
Sure.
make our own judgment. If we decided to become civil disobedience and violate the law, that would be a different thing, but the law would be completely valid.
I know you have limited time, so let me ask you about this other professor at Harvard, Charles Lieber. He's been indicted. Sorry?
Never heard of him.
Oh, Charles Lieber is one of the world's leading experts in nanotechnology. He has been indicted along with two of his Chinese students who, two of his Chinese students who failed to declare on their student visa applications that they were members of the Chinese military. Dr. Lieber's group, in their research in the area of nanotechnology, have created robots that are smaller than virus. A high concentration of them at Harvard University that are creating these nanobots that could behave exactly like a virus and could even mimic some of the symptoms and impact that we're seeing from COVID-19. So I'm very concerned when the law can get behind this and force us to take a vaccine for something that's so misunderstood from a medical standpoint.
Well, I want to make sure it's well understood, and I don't think we'd ever get legislation passed unless there was a very, very widespread consensus across the board. Remember how hard it is to get legislation enacted in this country. You've got to get the House of Representatives. You've got to get the Senate to approve the same language that the House approved.
Not only disingenuous by Bill Gates, but this is absolutely a fraudulent statement by somebody who's actually running point on vaccine policy. Looks like in the UK. The UK is running point in partnership with Bill Gates, effectively.
Absolutely, and in fact, Patrick, Boris Johnson had 2 or 3 telephone calls with Bill Gates in the last couple of weeks in the run-up to this.
So why would you, even if you could develop a vaccine, which there's no guarantee that they will develop a safe and effective vaccine? That's debatable on its own. But even if they did, Mike, why would you want to vaccinate or do a mass vaccination campaign for a disease that doesn't affect really 99.73% 10% of the population, or is not really at serious risk to it. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
In fact, children aren't at risk from it at all.
Almost non-existent with children. So why are people not challenging Bill Gates on this? Why are politicians literally lining up to read off a script handed to them by who? Who wrote the script? Was it government? Was it the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? Was it a PR firm in New York City? Who wrote the script?
Now, recall when I explained to you in a past lecture that food is not just what you're literally putting into your mouth and into your body. Food is listening to something, it's thinking about something, it's seeing something. Food is literally when you communicate or interact with anything. Everything has energy. This is the very same concept I gave y'all with the word concept when I explained that God is energy and energy is in all things. So understanding that, you must understand that food is a major source of energy. So this food gets placed into the vessel and allows the vessel to then translate that energy so that that body or that vessel could use it as fuel. Now there's many ways that you could use certain things as fuel. For example, the food that you eat, that's one source of way that your body is using what it's literally interacting with in one form. And then you have the things that you are hearing, seeing, thinking, and these are other aspects of fuel in which the body has the capability to basically break down and extract the essence of the energy that it needs. This is very much like when I say that DNA is energy, and energy is time, and time is money, and money is DNA. It's the same and the same thing over and over again. Don't ever forget that. Now, of course, as you all know, my last video, which was remotely close to this one here that you guys are watching, was taken down literally because it had some news clippings. Now you all know that all of my videos are basically full of news, and everybody else's videos generally are full of news as well, with news articles and news clips. And so they went and took it down for whatever reason. But we all know what it is. It was that I was telling y'all what the real deal is, and they're not trying to let you hear that. So I'm gonna try to embellish it into this right here, so pay close attention, my people. Selah, frequencies. So, to begin, a little slight differences between the last video and this one, because I believe that most people should already understand at least what the Bible is saying, at least like the first book of the Bible, Genesis. And I know that most of you out there tend to be of the Christian faith. Most of y'all claim to have left the churches, but everything that you pretty much believe is actually based on that foundation of Christianity. So therefore you haven't left anything. All you've done is basically committed apostasy, which means you've now taken that, which was just another form of stupidity and mental training, indoctrination, and applied the foundation that you had beneath what you now think you know. And you can hate me all you want, but it's the truth. I mean, a spade is a spade. All of you still are holding on to the God that the government gave you. All of y'all still do not understand or see that the government doesn't just lie sometimes, it lies all the time. So that means that when they gave your forefathers these gods, who, in case you don't know, it stems from the Greeks. And the Greeks were conquered by the Romans. And the Romans, all they did was change the name of Zeus to Hail Zeus. Ask a Latino. Jesus, which means Hail Zeus. So, the god of thunder. So all of you have just been doing that over and over again in many different ways. They gave you a superhero to focus on, and then they fed you movies and cartoons to make you believe in your superhero even more. A spade is a spade. You gotta call it how you see it. Wake up. But because of that, that's what you are basically describing as an apostasy. And that's what you have all basically done, is commit apostasy. Now, the combining of these different philosophies and mythologies and religions and walks of life, as you like to all call it, is called syncretism. And syncretism is very similar to what most of the people in the new faith and the new religions like to talk about when they say synchronicity. What one must understand is that without the word sin, you have Cretinism. So they added the word sin to Cretan. That's all they did. Sin, Cretan, or synchronism. This is important because it's all religions, basically what you've all seen, the one world government and the one world religion, all combined into one by them literally walking you through all walks of life. That's simply what they've done. You don't believe me? Go take a look. Go take a look at the ritualistic things that each of you do daily. Go look at the ritualistic things that you all did when you were banging Muslim, banging Catholicism, banging Christianity, banging Buddhism, or banging Hinduism, or banging, you didn't even know what, but you was meditating. Even veganism. Most of you have turned veganism into some form of religion. And these are things that are not for that. It wasn't for that. It was simply for you to acknowledge something, and this way you know what you're doing at the time of doing it. But you don't seem to understand these things. Everything will go back to how it was, whether you like it or not. The sad part is that by that time you would have done so much bad by then that you would be excommunicated out of it, simply because of the fact that you went and allowed these world leaders to manipulate you into doing all of these sinful things that they did. Because that's what they're doing. They're leaking stuff and making you do the same things they did. Worship the same gods that they were worshiping. Can't y'all see that? Now let's not act like we don't understand what exactly it is that these governments are literally uniting together to do. As you could already see, we're about to start talking about nuclear war all over again, plus war all over again. And as you can see, more and more things are falling out of heaven, or the sky, or space in this case, and they're just prepping y'all. The other thing is, of course, the race war or civil unrest, however you want to look at it, is literally only to keep you off your P's and Q's. A lot of times it don't even be that many people. It's all orchestrated. You're seeing it on TV where the news anchors will be there and they'll say action, and this group will be acting like they're fighting with police over here, and then all of a sudden they cut, take a break, and that's what they're doing. So let's not fall victim to these games anymore. You guys are wise enough to see what it is that's going on. Before that's said and done, let's now move on to some of the more present situations, more pressing matters, such as making sure that you are literally drinking water and covering your face and nose up when you go into these stores. Because as I've explained, the coronavirus is from the sun. It's the irradiation of the cells. It's literally the Father blessing you. Basically what I'm saying is he's causing your body to transfigurate. And then on another level, you have the COVID, which is a biological weapon. That biological weapon was created for them to be able, at this point in time of history, to literally use what God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, is doing, and they could then tell you, no, it's not God. In fact, don't even think that any of this is God. I want you to think that it was us that did it. So the government has you thinking that it's them that created all of it, and they kind of sort of did, because they created a biological weapon. And the biological weapon is what's literally being put into the atmosphere at certain locations when they need to prove a point. So to give you an example, when the people were talking about all the hospitals were empty and they kept upping up the numbers of how many people are in the hospitals and stuff, they came out and infected a bunch of other people around certain areas here in the United States, and they're doing it all over. It ain't just here. And then those numbers inflated, and now people began to see that people are getting sick, and it's possibly the coronavirus or the COVID virus. But that's all they did, and that's all they're gonna do, and they'll keep you, your friends and family members to literally have in your mind that there's something out there that can possibly get you sick and put you in a hospital. And it's all just basically fear-based, and you need to let that fear go and just literally do what you gotta do. Now, the reason I say wear your mask when you go in these stores is because they're putting biological weapons out there in certain areas and in certain places when they're trying to prove a point. They have ways to read statistics or census of how many people think this is real and whatnot, just like they were able to put the COVID health app or application into your phone without you realizing. That's the same way that they track you and find out what it is you're saying or doing, all at the same time. Now, briefly, let me just touch on this, because a lot of y'all seem to have forgotten. Your government lied to you. They lied to you about God. They lied to you about the government. They lied to you about history. They lied to you about the education and everything. You have to understand that. If you don't, you're gonna have a heck of a time. We have been in a famine. I have told you that, from the very beginning. Now, you have to understand that at this very moment, we are literally at the time where all of the establishments around the world, not just in America, but mainly in America, will literally destroy all of their idols. All of the idols, even the ones that you have in your own home, they will find a way to make you destroy it. They're going to make you destroy it. And everyone is to destroy it. And these things are basically going to be done and are being done because they're idols. None of y'all know God. I've told y'all that. They're idols. You're worshiping idols. The Jesus Christ character, all of that, those are idols. This is why you have an image of him. This is why in any other country that you go, you have, like here, you have a white Jesus. In Africa, you have a black Jesus. In Puerto Rico, you got a Spanish-looking Jesus. In South America, you got a Spanish-looking Latino Jesus. Don't y'all see what they did? Hail Zeus. Hail Zeus, the god of thunder. That's who Jesus is. So now, his time is done. Castor and Pollux is literally who you're seeing right now. I know, and you know what's crazy is that a lot of y'all claim to be like iPet Go-To enthusiasts. Like I always see some of you content creators always making videos about iPet Go-To, but you don't know what you're watching. You don't know what is being told when it's plain as day. Castor and Pollux is basically immortal. They're immortal. They're the ones who have been being killed, who have been tortured, who have been enslaved, who have been beaten all across the world, from civilization to civilization. And then you have your elites that use the mind of the people who believe that they are a part of these elites, which they could never be a part of these elites because these elites are twice dead, meaning their dead bodies being reanimated by a parasite within them. And many of your celebrities are the same way, or they're cloned. But going back into this situation with Castor and Pollux, these are basically your black brothers and sisters. They're immortal. They're immortal brothers and sisters. They do not die. On top of them not dying, you have to understand that when you kill one, they come back and reincarnate in another body, and they come out as a newborn, but they come out with no memory. These things are not talking about all of you. These are simply just talking about the ones with souls. This is why it's important to understand. And I know y'all hate me. I already know this. And I know y'all don't like when I come up here and start telling y'all stuff like this. But it's the truth. And until you realize it, you're going to be in big trouble. Right now, you have been basically being brainwashed to fight for something that the Father is having it done. Nothing on this earth happens unless the Father allows it to be done. That's what you have to remember. Nothing happens here unless he allows it to be done. I've told y'all, Satan has been ordered to remove himself and everything that he has ever created. That means that if he created your mind state, you and your mind state have got to go. That's what that means. So that's what you're seeing them prepare for. I've told you this. You all know that they're going to try to fight God. God is the elements of the earth. God is going to use the elements of the earth through his Son, and the Son will use his Christ to literally sweep this earth new in order for the new Jerusalem to come down. This is not me asking y'all anything or me trying to get y'all to understand it at this point. I'm done with that part. I'm just telling y'all what it is. Y'all just not wanting to listen. Y'all trying to continue down a road that has no future. You're trying to go down a road that is going to eradicate you one way or the other. But why get eradicated when all you gotta do is know what it is that the truth is? It's time to stop denying the logical, common sense things that you are seeing. You all know who has been enslaved. You all know exactly how long they've been enslaved. 400 years. They just had a celebration of it the other day. You all know this. Why don't y'all acknowledge what is being shown and told to you right to your face, instead of allowing these government officials and these media personalities and all of their agent provocateurs on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Periscope, because that's what they are. They're people who don't have any type of thought. They're dumb, is what I'm saying. They're people that if you show them a color and you tell them, yo, this color right here is black, they can see that it's really blue, but because you said it's black and you got money or you got some type of notoriety, they're gonna agree with you. They're gonna agree with you just because you seem to have something that they don't, or you seem to have something that they want. And that's what all of these people are really all about. And you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about, because that's what you're finna see. You're finna see how all of these people are gonna try to run and hide. They're gonna try to run and hide from the Most High and His Son. And they won't be able to go nowhere. They won't be able to hide nowhere, because there's nowhere to hide. You're in His body. You are cells in His body. Some of you have become ions in His body, and others have become cells in His bodies. And a cell serves the body, meaning it serves God, because that's who the body is to you. The body is basically your land, and you're there to cultivate the land and serve God on that land. No longer will the wicked be on this earth to literally trick you into thinking that no, you're not here to do that, or no, you can do whatever you want. That ain't gonna happen no more. It ain't gonna be like that no more. It's time for y'all to realize what exactly has transpired and what exactly is going on and who God is. And you're all gonna see it. You're all gonna know. I've told y'all, everyone will know exactly who God is, and they will know exactly what God wants from you and what God expects from you, and what it is that you need to be expecting from yourself, because you're gonna want to do this on your own. God don't ask you for worship. He doesn't ask you for none of that. The world does. He just needs you to know who He is, because in order for you to know who He is, that's the only way you're gonna pretty much exist on this planet. If you do not know who He is, you cannot exist on this planet or on this plane of existence. Now, when you look at the things occurring right now all around the world, this is all part of an agenda. As you can see, they're getting ready to start rolling out some arrests of maybe some high political figures, like we've been told for the longest. Yeah, it's gonna happen. The reason I know that it's gonna happen is because just the other day at one of the boxing matches, one of the fighters had WWG, WWA, or the MAGA stuff, and they made a news article pertaining to it, which is just dumb, trying to inform the people of what's actually transpiring. So get ready to see that. So that's gonna make some of you happy, but it's also gonna put a lot of you in the mind state that they wanted you in. Right after that, you're more than likely, or right as it's occurring, you're also gonna hear the ramp up of nuclear war with North Korea or with China or with Russia. It doesn't matter who, because they're not gonna do it. It's just them trying to put you in the mind state. It is over for the enemy. Satan has been ordered to remove all of his creation. All you're seeing right now is him doing this. He's trying to literally take as many of you with him. Right now, everyone should be literally focusing on themselves and learning everything that they can about themselves. Leave all of these channels alone. I think that the best advice I can give anybody who does not really know me or watch me or trust me for that matter is focus on yourself. Leave all the channels, including mine if you have to, and focus on yourself. Learn what it is that makes you think. Learn what it is that makes you act a certain way or view things from a certain angle or a certain perspective. This will allow you to see that it was the things that you were told and the things that you were taught in the past that has led you to begin to literally use the process of elimination in the way that you do. And that's where everything begins at. Everything begins on what it was that you were taught and what it was that you took serious and believed. The world is basically now experiencing a huge famine, as you can all tell, and this famine affects people in many different ways, and it's a sad thing. People in North America are seeing how the virus and them getting sprayed every night through these military helicopters, how that has affected their health and caused them to deteriorate because they believe in this stuff. So we have more things that occupy our mind and keep us busy so we don't fall victim as fast as many of these other countries do. But before that's said and done, let's get right back into this lecture which they had took off. Salah, frequencies. Now more than likely, because this is a ritual, a Greek mythology type ritual that deals with deities, Eurydice, Uranon, and Dionysus, and Dioscuri, which means black. So more than likely what you're gonna see is, well, maybe I shouldn't even say the person's name, but the last person that was in power, him actually getting arrested. This is what all of the things that you are seeing right now occurring pertaining to the BLM and everything else for that matter. That's what it's preparing for. It's preparing the mind state to one, get you tired of hearing it over and over again, plus to literally cause people to explode with it because they don't view certain people the same way, and it just builds up the anger and the rage in people. And then when they come out and say that this particular person who's, well cared for and well loved by the masses and whatnot, look at what he's been doing this whole time. And some of you already know a lot of this, that, they've been doing things like this. If you think it ain't occurring right now as we speak, you don't know what's really going on. This is part of their tradition. This is part of their way of living. These people feel that they need to sin over and over in the most heinous of ways in order to bring about right. That's how they feel, and they choose their people many times carefully, meaning they fatten them up, they treat them like they love them and they care for them, and then they slice their throat. They stab them in the back, and they sacrifice them like a lamb. And that's exactly what they are trying to do with the vast majority. It's called walking through the fire. They're walking everyone through their ritualistic Moloch ritual. And that's where they get you all to literally commit to the ways and acts and actions and way of thinking that they all basically carry. The same way that they already do things and view things. This is how they're making you do. And they're using their agents, which are the YouTubers, the Facebookers, the Periscope community, the Twitter community. These are their agents. And the people don't know no better, because the people are thinking that they're helping the government or that they're woke. But they have no idea what's really going on. This is far beyond the physical matter of man. This is literally dealing with principalities in dark and high places. This has nothing to do with race or color or nothing. They're just using those things as leverage to identify with you, to allow you to identify that as the reason or the particular way that things need to be, because of that's what they've taught you. That's what they trained you to look at. But it has nothing to do with that. It's literally about parasites in the human body, trying to keep the human psyche of man continuously busy, continuously dealing with stupidity and creativity and entertainment, while they continue to reconstruct your genetics. And that's what they're doing, point blank, period. But it's over, but they're still doing what they can. And this is why the scriptures explain, not just the scriptures, but all the tablets, as well as the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Book of Confucius, where the angels come down and they mark all of God's chosen people. Those chosen people have already been marked. And they're usually the ones that you guys don't understand, or they're usually the ones that you guys dislike for no reason. You know, just their voice bothers you. That's who they are. That's who these people and individuals are. And the reason you don't like them is because what's inside you can sense who they are and what they are. And these are the same ones who are actually free. They are in the sun. They're free. They're consciously free in their free dome. They have the free dome, meaning they have the free way of thinking. Christ was a free thinker. He was killed because he was teaching others how to free think outside of the ways of the government. He was teaching them that everything was a lie, just like we're doing right now here as I speak. Not telling you the news, because the news is something that could be foretold easily, because it's an agenda, it's a narrative, and it's going off of something called the new way to test the mind, which is the New Testament. The other thing is the word Jesus or Jesus. Jesus is, the letter J did not exist, and it still doesn't exist in some countries. When you look at Jesus and you look at the word Jesuit, you're literally using cognitive dissonance. What you're saying is your yes suits. And that's basically a Latin term or a Spanish way of saying yes yours. Or you're saying, if you're saying Jesuit, you're saying your suits. Your suits is your garments, it's your genetics, it's your flesh. And this is what they're altering. This is what the battle is for. It's about who's gonna wear your cape, who's gonna wear your body, who's gonna wear your flesh, where you sit back in a empty void, just like you saw them portray in Bird Box and in the movie Get Out and in various other movies. This Is Us. This is what it's really talking about. And this is what's really going to happen. This is what's really going on out there, where some of you have never been you in your entire life. You think you're you. You've never been you, because you don't have the ability to be you, because this thing has been passed on from generation to generation to generation through the mother's milk. This is why it says, woe unto the mothers who give suck in those days, because it's literally a hybridized type of organism that is going in the body of man, and it's literally causing man to demoralize itself and literally begin to kill itself through the things that it's eating, because it loves the things that rot and it loves to partake of death. It loves destruction. It loves to see pain. And even though you might feel bad about people and whatnot, but you still love to see it. You still are the type of people who have to see what the videos of some old lady getting beat up or something crazy like that. This is the perversion that they have committed, the desensitization that they've done in the minds of you men and women out there. Not the real king. The King of Kings is God. The King of Kings is the Son of God, and you are the Son of God, and this is what Jesus was doing. So these people that are out here now taking people's temperatures, they don't really know what's going on. They're just following orders. They're just doing what, their boss told them to do. It's their job. So you can't really fault them. Just like when they went and sent the guards to go get Christ, when the guards came back, they of course got reprimanded. I think they got killed. But what they told the king was, we couldn't find him. And when he said why, they said because everyone looked like him. This is important to notice, because we are all sons of God. All of us are sons of God, no matter your sin, no matter what it was that you've done in your past. It doesn't matter what you just did just now. You must understand that God is the one who's the decider in fate. He's the one that says, oh, you're going here, you're going over there. It isn't your president, it isn't your king, it isn't, none of that. It's literally God. And God communicates to us through our voice that speaks to us in our head. That's how, and that's what most people need to get. They have to get that. Because if they don't get that, then they're just allowing somebody to tell them what it is that they need to believe in or what they need to follow. It's already, if you look at society right now, we are told what to eat, we are told what to watch, we are told who to make friends with, we are told where to work, we are told every aspect. And now, as I've explained in many of my lectures, they're going to tell you what it is that you can put into your body. They already was telling you that, but now they're telling you openly. They're telling you openly that you're gonna eat nothing but bioengineered foods. They're telling you openly that you're no longer gonna eat foods in the form of meat, but instead you're gonna eat plant-based foods. This here was made back in April on the 20th of 2020, and it's still relevant, so hope you all enjoy this lecture. This is all bioengineered, and let me tell you something. Anything that is an imitation of something is bad for you, because it's not real. It's not natural. But I'm just saying that all of those days of those gourmet meals are over. It's over because they're tying all of the loose ends that they left out there. They're tying them up right now, and that's gonna choke us. It's choking us. As the days go by, remember, we've only been locked down for a month. Imagine and look at all they've done so far. Imagine how it's gonna look in 2 months, 90 days from now. I have my cousin's neighbors and them. The daughter was the only one that worked. The daughter has 3 kids. She got laid off because of the lockdown. She worked at a small business, and the small business owner couldn't afford to pay her and keep it open, so he laid her off. Yeah, granted, he gave her a few bucks to hold her, but it's been a month now. That money is long gone, and she doesn't have a job, and she can't get a job because they're from New York. Their county is still locked down completely to this very day. So how is she supposed to eat? See, yeah, this is them over there. So this, you have to understand, could happen to anybody. It could happen to us here. You know, we're all in different locations, but it could happen in my county. It could happen in my state. You know, and this is what they want. You have to understand that this is being done by design. Just like you see that they prepare for war, and they did the same thing in Iraq. I have a brother, he told me, when we went to Iraq, the first thing we did was give them a curfew. And then we made them shut all the small businesses down. And then after they shut all the small businesses down, we began to give the people that didn't have a way to get food, we would deliver the food to the counties, and then we would tell them to all get online, and they would come get a bag of food. If you notice, that's exactly what they're showing you they're doing in some places here in the United States, which means that the same tactics that they used outside there in those other countries are the same ones that they're using here. And I know we kind of veered off track there, but it's just something that we all need to see, you know, because we can't act like it doesn't exist or it's not happening, because this is when things go too far, when you don't acknowledge it. But going back into the chakras and how all of the different senses of the body are literally communicating with one another, they are all basically centralized in your organs, off of each organ. And this is important because when you have a certain problem with your liver, now you're no longer on that frequency that, you know, another person would be on, because you have an infection or you have some type of disease that's bringing you down, and this affects you in the form of mood. So now you have an attitude, or now you have you know, you're always in pain, you're sad, you're depressed. This is how all of these things affect us when in terms of speaking of the chakras. Yes, the social credit score. Okay, so this is gonna be a little, it's gonna be a little deep, but if you follow me, you're gonna be able to understand what I'm saying. So just understanding how the situation with Christ and the body releasing the guards to go get him, all of that, it applies the same way to the RFID chip or your nucleus, because that's what it is. The IFRD chip, most people don't understand, we already have it. Our ancestors were basically given the chip already. And I know this sounds outrageous, but hear me out. Your nucleus is made up of cell walls that literally mass produce a bunch of cells, and your chromosomes, your X and your Y's, depending on if you're a male or female. And then it has these three little things, and you can see the three little things if you ever seen Nostradamus. His logo that he uses has three little like egg-looking things. Those three little egg things are called a matrix. Now the word matrix is used 26 times in 25 verses in the Bible. And the reason, yes. So the word matrix, if you look at what it means the word womb, like a woman's womb. And the womb is where you birth life from. That's because your mind is basically like a womb. We are literally bringing forth ideas that we think about and we want to create whenever we're using our talents and we're drawing or we're sculpturing, or you know, you're an architect, you create. You're bringing that forth through your womb, which is basically your thoughts, your mind. Just the other day on Saturday, which was the 18th, what they had was something called a global citizen at home together type theme on TV, on MSN, on X11 News, TV, you know, on all these different networks. What they had was a global citizen stay at home theme going on, and they had all these celebrities, Madonna, Lady Gaga, you know, all of if you can think of a name as far as an icon or a celebrity, or what they call celebrities, which are viral, they go why things are named like that. So the global citizenship thing that they had going on was basically telling you you're in a one world government. It wasn't telling you you're going into a one world government. It was telling you you are already in a one world government. You've been in a one world government. Yeah, it was telling us we are in a one world government, and we've always been in a one world government. What they did was that they made it seem as if we weren't by separating, which is why all dollars say novus ordem seclorum, which is Greek for out of many, one. Meaning, even though there's many countries and many nations around the world, one of them is the controller of all of them. This is where you look at how Iraq has a bank, how Iraq has police, how Iraq has a court system and a media system. And then you look at North Korea, South Korea, and you realize that they also have police and government and, all types of things that literally, when you look at our own nation, which is the leading nation, we have. So it gives you a clearer picture, and it shows you, wait a minute, we've been bamboozled. We've been thinking that we're going into a one world government, but what we saw was them literally individualizing themselves so that we wouldn't be able to add it up. But now that we have the internet and we can look at all these countries at the same time at once, we now have the ability to say, wait a minute, why is it that someone all the way on the other side of the world has the same type of structure pertaining to government that we do? These people don't even read the same way we do. I mean, we read from right to left, they read from left to right. How does China have police and ambulance and fire departments just like we do? Somewhere we should have had a different type of mechanism pertaining to our structure than at least one of these nations, but you don't see that. What you see is the same exact structure, the same exact governmental pyramid that we have here, they have there, even in Iran. This is because the governments all made an agreement, obviously, and they said we'll keep them all separated and in limbo by acting as if we don't like each other. And this is where you get to look at how they're all working together on NASA. North Korea, China, North Korea, China, and Iran, India, and Pakistan, all of them are in the NASA program. And they work together with no problem. And the same thing with Antarctica. The Antarctica initiative, you have North Korea, you have South Korea, you have Iran, you have Indonesia, you have India, Pakistan, America, Russia, China, Cuba. You have all of these countries that supposedly do not get along. How is that possible? So now we get to see that this is how they've been driving us. They've been driving us through fear, hopes, and dreams. So now, the pyramid is a replica of your body, and that's where I'm taking this. I just wanted to give y'all a brief outlook so y'all can understand the entirety of your body. But what I'm trying to show you is that you have 7 major continents. Same government in all major continents. You have 7 major organs in your body. What's bound in heaven is bound on earth. So this is something that's going to open your eyes to something that maybe you're ready for it or maybe you're not. We're going to find out. So now you understand that you got 7 major organs, 7 major planets. You have, and the reason I say 7 major planets is because Mercury represents the masculine energy that comes down into the earth, and then you have Venus, which is the feminine energy, which comes down into the earth. After it ping-pongs off of each of the stars and the moons, and this is why they call the moon a satellite, because a satellite sends information and receives information. So now, understanding that after you have those 2 planets, male and female, now you have 7 others. And these 7 other planets all coincide with your 7 chakras. This is why the Vatican, on certain days, they pick a planet. So every day has a planet. So let's use Wednesday, for example. Wednesday would be Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet that regulates your liver. And all day through that day, the first thing the Vatican and the Archdiocese would what they do is that they come out and they sing a hymn and a praise to Jupiter. And Jupiter is Peter. Who Peter? You Peter. You Peter is Jupiter. And every other planet is basically a demigod to them, to the way that they look at the world and the way that the way that they have their religious sect going or following. All other planets, you have to also understand, they're basic elements of the earth, which all ties into the chip. All of these things tie into the chip. So you have plutonium, which is your Pluto. You have your Neptunium, which is your Neptune. You have your Mercury, of course, which is Mercury. You have Venus is not really an element, so I'll take that back. Not all of them are, but some of them are. Now Mars, yes. So Mars is important because Mars is what you hear the president guy speak about. You hear that come out of his mouth a lot. Mars, Mars, Mars. Like all of these things you're seeing happening right now, I told people about it 10 months ago. I said, look everybody, the government is about to literally put out some type of bacteria into the atmosphere, and they're going to say that you are contagious. And they're going to use this same structure of contagion that you are seeing in these movies to literally shut everything down. And it's following the narrative that is in the New Testament. And all of these things were already explained by me on a video that I call that's titled SONOFMAN. And in that video you'll see how 10 months ago, probably 11 now, I basically explained all of these things to the team. From wearing masks to taking iodine and baking soda, all of it, I explained it back then. And I also explained the stuff that we're going through right now about we are in a one world government and about this microchip. This microchip is in your nucleus. Now your nucleus, what they need to give you a vaccine, because after 70 years, the frequency, which is the ions which are coming off of the sun, it raises the body temperature. They like to call it the El Nino. And El Nino in Spanish means the sun. In Latin, it means the sun. In French, it also means the sun. Now, who's the sun? The sun is the Son of God, who is you. You are the ones who were born and government has been on your back. You are the one whose flesh is literally persecuting you day in and day out. But they don't want you to realize that. They want you to continue to project your energy outside of yourself, so this way you never think yourself worthy enough. So now you become sacrificial lambs to them. Because now you have to understand that whenever you're going to sacrifice anything, what you do is you treat that with love. You treat that with, you take care of it. You feed it well, you give it the right vitamins and minerals, you keep it nice and healthy looking, so that when the day comes that you're going to this way, and this is what they've done to all of us. This is what they're doing. And it's very important to realize what's going on, because this is what Christ said, those who lack, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And that's because we're in a time where people don't want to think for themselves. They want somebody to think for them and tell them what they got to do. Nobody goes to heaven with anybody together. Nobody's going to heaven together with anybody. Everyone, this is an individual thing. It means that you got to get it right on your own. You got to make that realization within yourself and realize, I've been lied to. I've been lied to on multiple levels. I'm gonna blow your mind a little more than that. Check this out. And you might want to have me here again after this one little thing right here. Check this out. The Bible says that Christ will come on the clouds, and when he comes on the clouds, he will come with thousands of angels, and everyone will see his glory. The word glory in Hebrew symbolizes intelligence. It symbolizes knowledge. coming on the cloud, you have to understand that the internet, that is a cloud. So it's telling you, because the people that wrote the Bible or canonized the Bible, remember, it was taken from the Metaneta, which was written on these thousands of year-old pyramids and rocks and tablets. And then it was later, shepherdized, and they took what they wanted and put what they wanted. So now, they left that, and that states that he will come on the cloud. Now, of course, most people know that is in the movies. You don't see that in real life. You don't see nobody flying nowhere. Christ told you that nothing new under the sun. That means that if you don't see nobody flying, then you're not going to see anybody flying later. That's because those are things that are fantasy. So you have to use reality to understand what it is that Christ was talking about when he made that statement. The internet is called the information cloud. On the information cloud, you have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of these different clouds of information that you can go through. And then, of course, you have iCloud, which is the saving place for email. But now, when you look at the movie Matrix, which I can tell you know very well and you like, you realize that every time Neo got into an issue, he got on his phone, which is exactly what you do when you want to get some truth or you want to literally find something out. You get on your phone. Now, Google is another way of saying, because Google is what your mind does. Your mind Googles things. Your mind literally shepherdizes things. It Googles things. It puts things back like a neural library. That's what your brain is. And then, whenever he needed to get help or whatever, he would have to run to the next phone. This is in allegorical terms the same way you are when you are going through your thoughts of something you've seen or something you heard, and you don't understand it. And so you go to the cloud, the information cloud, which is the internet, and you figure it out there. That is where people will find the Christ. That is where people will find the Christ, because the Christ is not a person per se. The Christ is literally the intelligence of God. It's the intelligence of one having his own thoughts, meaning the government doesn't have it quite yet, which is why they wanna take it from you. If you listen to what I'm saying, you'll realize the government's trying to take your thoughts, and God was trying to tell you to make sure that they don't get your thoughts. Because if you take that inoculation, and inoculation means to knock out, and that's what they're trying to do, to knock out your immune system. And of course they did that to us with the immunization shots. And this is what they're saying is mandatory now. Immunization shots for all children. But what they did was, when they passed that law, you didn't know that adults was gonna be required to take a vaccine. So now it's mandatory in basically all 50 states. I think Oklahoma is the only one that doesn't have it. Or they probably already passed it, but they were the only ones that didn't when I seen it. So now all adults are about to receive an executive order that there will be a vaccine, and now if they want, they can say you must take this in order to reintegrate into society. You must take this vaccine. The vaccine inoculates your immune system. That's why it's called an immunization shot, because it's immunizing your immune system. And when they do that, that is information. You have to understand that what they're putting into your body is information that should not be in your body. That information blocks, just like it blocks viruses and diseases from hitting you. It's going to block your elevation of thought. It's going to keep your mind at a level where you cannot exceed. And this is why the Father or Christ says you cannot take this, because when you do that, you sever yourself from me. It disconnects you. Okay, so the vaccine at the moment is only mandatory for children. But the minute that they come out with a vaccine, because of the stuff that they're talking about with COVID, everyone will be mandatorily, if you want to return back into society, or you want your job and you want to get back, you want to get food or whatever, you have to take this forehead or in their right hand. Well, the right hand is the mark of you literally receiving the shot, and now you're acting out because of the situation of the shot. The shot or the mark on the forehead is the mark of you not having or no longer having your thoughts. So now you become, instead of you hearing that voice that sounds like you in your mind, you will hear the voice of the government. Because what they're doing is they're literally reinstituting the chip that we already have in our nucleus. That's what they're doing, and it's going to literally be able to tell you what to do, and you're gonna do it because you're gonna think that's your thoughts. Remember that Elon Musk is the same person who came out and said, nuke Mars. These are all words that have meaning in Latin. So Mars is what your body is made out of, which means water in Latin, or in Spanish. Mars means water. The water, which is the flood that flooded Noah's Ark, it's talking about the information. So when he said nuke Mars, he's saying nuclear energy or nuclear energy to Mars, meaning it's time to give the people a whole nother paradigm. And that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing a paradigm. Anybody that's been in jail or prison, they know this life, because this is the life you get when you go to jail. It's called rehabilitation or correctional facility. And in a correctional facility, what they're doing is that they're telling you what is right and what is wrong, and when you need to go to the doctor and when you don't need to go. And that's the whole thing. The whole thing is that a person who's in prison, he doesn't realize he's being manipulated consciously. Yeah. What you're saying is when you go to a correctional facility or anyone that's been in a penitentiary, what ends up happening is that the person, the inmate, he begins to be programmed. That programming is called a paradigm shift. That is what they're doing to the masses. You have been placed under lockdown. Those are jail words. You are on quarantine. Those are jail words. All of those words have frequency. They have power that you as a person don't really feel or recognize, but the mind does. The mind does, because the mind is alive. Your thoughts is who you really are. You're not the body. You're what animates the body. You're the electrons, protons, and neutrons that is animating the flesh. You're not the flesh. The flesh is what's enslaving you. It's your jail cell. That's why they call and they say that the body is made up of cells, because you are in a prison, and the spark of life that God gave you is wrapped around. It's in the middle of a cell. Yeah, take all things for consideration. Because even when you look at a pyramid, and you look at the pyramids way out in, let's say, Africa, or the pyramids right here in the United States, these pyramids are all aligned with different star constellations, and even with the sun. And what it is to trap light. So that light, for example, comes down on an angle from the sun, and it hits directly into a porthole or a window of a pyramid, and now that light goes down. And remember what a pyramid is. A pyramid is a prism. It traps light. So this is the same exact thing that the mind does. The mind and the body, when working in conjunction, it absorbs that light, and then it releases that light in the form of acts and actions. So basically, your body absorbs it. Once it absorbs it, your body, like a generator, begins to figure out how much of what needs to go where, and then it dispenses it for whatever it is that the body needs. Most times, all light is awareness. So keep that in mind. Okay, so now, of course, we don't bow down to tyrant. We don't bow down to any tyrant. Even if the tyrant, it seems to be a nice guy, because the president does seem to be a nice guy, at least to me. I actually love his character. I think that he's he's a reflection of a lot of people, because I was an entrepreneur. So he's a reflection of what I wanted to be. You know, and on who? Oh yeah, well it's, remember, it's two sides, but it's the same coin. When you're talking about Nancy Pelosi, Obama, Hillary Clinton, the Bushes, then you're going into the side of Ronald Reagan, Trump. You're only talking about the same coin, two different sides, but you're actually talking about Knights of Malta or the Inquisition, and then you're talking about your people who were basically your Knights Templar, and it's basically Catholic against Christian, where Trump is coming out with the family values and everything, Christ back, you know, and you got the Obama and all of them, those administrations from the past, they were like, yo, to X with, you know, Christmas and forget this. And just the other day, one of the guy Fossey, which his name is Fossey, literally says we have to end handshaking. This is because they're trying to stigmatize everything, so that you can feel that you are doing something wrong. The thing is that they want you to believe that when God created you, you was a mistake. God don't make mistakes. You are perfect in God's eyes. You might not be perfect in your eyes, but in God's eyes, He'll give the world for you. He told you that. You are the sheep that He said if it would have gotten lost, He'll go out there and go get you and leave the other ones there. That is you He's talking about. So the government wants you to actually believe that these bacteria and stuff can somehow, some way break down the magnificence of God Almighty, and that's impossible. Let's not. Now, if you want to look at the virus, we can literally just nip it in the butt easily. Contraceptives were created because HIV was basically mixing in with the fluids of two people's bodies or more, whoever was involved, and it was spreading that way. So they created contraceptives. They created what we would call condoms. And when they did that, they did a huge analysis about HIV and AIDS, and they told you that the minute a virus hits the atmosphere, the oxygen kills it. So now, because they know that our attention span is about 6 seconds at the moment, and it's going beneath that, they know that some of us don't remember, and a lot of our children weren't alive for that. So now they're telling you that a virus can literally hang in the atmosphere for up to 14 feet. That's impossible. That is a lie. Yeah, we're gonna go into it right now, because this all deals with the chip. All of it deals with the chip. Now, the people that they're hunting down, they're using something called, who knows X-Men here? Who knows the movie or cartoon X-Men? Anybody? But Professor X would be the man to me. Now, check this out. Looking at X-Men, you have to remember that what you saw in X-Men happening is what's happening right now.
You'd sell out, Amanda, but not this bad. My friends, to assist in our recovery, the Neo-Sapien Occupation Committee has ordered all Terrans to register with the Neo-Sapien Central Administration at once. During this registration, a small identification chip will be implanted under the skin. This will be mandatory for all natural humans. Those who fail to register will be considered enemies of the Neo-Sapien government and will be dealt with accordingly.
Large, enthusiastic crowds have turned out for the first day of mandatory civil registration.
Registration? Any jerk can see they're on their way to a concentration camp.
Advanced Neo-Sapien technology has made the implantation process simple and completely painless.
The X gene, which would be sort of there, but just a little before that. where the X gene is spreading all over, and the President Kelly, that was his name, had to put out and deal with the technological team and create sentinels. The name of the application that they're using to track the clusters of coronavirus is called Sentinel. And it's all predictive programming. That's what I'm trying to show you. What this thing does, you just spoke about the barium that's in the that's in the atmosphere, pardon me, that's falling out of these chemtrails that are coming off of planes. The barium is something in the Bible that's called porphyria. And porphyria is basically, it comes from a sea creature called a mollusk. And what this particular barium thing does is that it comes into the body and it makes us glow purple. And because it makes us glow purple, they know exactly who to pinpoint and go get, because you have all this porphyria on you, and now they know that you ain't been home, that you've been out here hanging out, because you're all purple, meaning the barium and sterum and all these other chemicals have been falling on you. I mean strontium. And they can see that, they know that. So because they know that and they can see that, they're basically tracking you behind that. So, and what they're using is something called the Sentinel. And what Sentinel does is that it's a thermal heat signature reader. It's a thermal heat signature reader. And this thermal heat signature reader is basically tracking people through their drones, through their little satellites that they got up in the atmosphere or in the the troposphere. And that's what they're using. They're using those things. Just to quickly touch on Agent Smith. Agent Smith is basically the controller of the reality. And what he's doing is he's basically the mind state of everyone that is believing the government. So everybody that you're seeing wearing a mask and staying away from everybody, they have Agent Smith in them. And they will, at some point or another, they're going to be trying to tell on you. They're going to try to be, like a rat, like a snitch. They're gonna tell him, oh, he left his house. You're seeing it right now, where I think it was on Facebook, a lady and her daughter left the house, and the neighbors was like, you're not supposed to be going nowhere. They just made a big scene and called the cops. But the whole thing is that when you're looking at the predator and you're looking at aliens and all of those things, so going back into what we was basically breaking down, when I would wear a mask is when they mandate it. Now if they mandate it, I wear a mask only because I don't want to get messed with. But once I get to wherever I'm going or I'm home or whatever, I'm not going to continue to wear a mask. Like if I was to call my brother FaceTime right now, he's wearing a mask, even in his own house, with his children. And this is how serious it is. You have to understand that if you give your mind away, which is literally the one thing that they could never actually take from you, you have to give it to them. Exactly. If you give that away, they own you. So now, going into the movie Predator and going into the movie Aliens, you have to understand that everything is biological. Everything I'm trying to show you here is that what's bound in heaven is bound on earth. And earth is your body. That's how I want you to look at it. Earth is talking about your body. So now, you go and you realize that the movie Aliens was in a vessel. And when they were in the vessel, they got an emergency signal, and the emergency signal took them to another Earth or another body, and while there, they contracted some type of bacterium. This bacterium gets brought back into the ship through one of the people who became a carrier or a host. What ends up happening is that the person who was the host to the bacterium has basically fed, or basically the parasite is inside of them eating. This happens for real. This is why I'm bringing this up. most people don't understand Satan. He's a parasite. And when I say Satan is a parasite, I mean he's a worm. He's like a little slug in the body. And what he does is that he causes the people to crave not just anything. He wants you to eat things that get rotten or go rotten, like meat, milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream. He wants you to eat things with sugar. He wants you to eat things like that, and he makes you crave it. The reason why is because when you eat those things and put them into your body creates acidic cells. Now, your body already has acid in it. That acid is for the breaking down through the digestive system of foods, of good foods. So, by you eating all of this acidic stuff, or these things that go rotten or go bad, what ends up happening is that your body begins to produce acidic cells. The coronavirus, the people that you're hearing that they're saying is dying, if you remember, or if you saw any of the video footage of China when they were basically dying over there, what you saw was a person just all of a sudden fall, and then they would go into like a seizure. That seizure basically explains the communication from the brain to the heart, or from the heart to the brain being severed. Where now the brain is saying hello, anybody there? And your heart is saying hey. And now your body is tensing up and releasing and tensing up and releasing, and you're seizing, and then the person would die. Yeah. yeah. So that's what it is. It's that's from a lot of times it happens from lack of oxygen. And what comes, and like you already know, SARS, coronavirus, is a respiratory virus. Now, what happens is that the acidic cells that are being exploded by the sun's rays, or the ions, which is awareness. If your body's not alkaline enough and you are receiving all this frequency, all this energy from God, not saying that the sun is God, I'm saying that the sun is God's son. That is God's son. God sends him the information and he sends it to you. And then the moon helps the sun at night. And they nourish us. They nourish us and every other animal and species on the earth. So, when you are literally receiving that information, if your body is acidic, like these people that are acidic, what you're seeing is people who have not been in control of their life, where the government has been their God, the government has been their leader, and they're like sheep in a field. And when they fall out like that and they die, there's nothing to catch them, which is what you see with the picture of Mary carrying Christ. It's called the Pieta. And the Pieta symbolizes your wisdom, or your mind, your thoughts, carrying the spiritual aspect of who you are so that you don't actually die. So this is what's happening. The people that you're hearing are dying behind this are people who believe the government and the sickness of the government so much that they cause it to actually happen to them. Because your neurons are giving the information to the brain, and the brain is trying to tell the rest of the body, wait a minute, that isn't wrong with me. But your heart is like, yes it is, I'm sick, I'm dying. The government said thousands of people are dying, I'm one of them. And now your body processes all of that to every other cell, which are membranes. Point. So when you're looking at that particular aspect of what we just explained, it's psychological. This is a spiritual war. The spiritual aspect, and the spiritual war that the Bible is speaking of is psychological, because the word nefesh in the Bible, which is Aramaic for soul, is also the word psyche. So when you go look at the word nefesh, it says psyche and soul. So your soul and your psyche are one and the same. They're the same thing, which is your psyche, your mind, your thoughts. That is what God gave you. That's where your strength is. That's where your will is. That is the one thing that cannot fear. It does not lust over anything. It does not need or want anything. It does not desire anything. All it wishes to do is have you communicate with it. But if you do, your government will lock you up and say you're crazy. And then they will tell everybody who know you, or that you are around, that you are maybe violent because you talk to yourself. talking to God, you mess up their plan, okay? Now, you have to understand that the first instinct is always the good instinct. It's just like when you watch Bugs Bunny or Woody Woodpecker, and you would see right before he's about to do something that he know he should not see, the two angels would pop up. And the first one would be like, don't do it. Don't you dare do that. And then all of a sudden, he'll hesitate. And because he hesitated, the bad one pops up. And the bad one will be like, no, go ahead, don't worry about it. Think about all the money you'll have. You know, think about this, think about how good it'll taste. That is because you must understand that your senses are against you. Your physical senses are against you. It's part of your flesh. Oh, ignorance is bliss in some cases. In the case of what's happening in the world, it's not bliss, because as you can, you know, I just wanted to make sure I got that clear through there. But what I now know about God, I was like anybody else, you know, I was a younger brother, meaning I had older brothers, and because of that, whenever I got around anybody, I used to allow them to dictate to me what I should do or what we should do. And then I learned that no, I need to put my foot down, and this helped me learn. Vegetarianism has become a certain type of doctrine or religion. So we need to be careful, because the enemy, Satan, who is a parasite in the body, he knows all, just like you know all. And when I say you know, he knows all, I mean he knows all about you. The reason he knows all about you is because he's inside you. He's your lower nature. When you actually think about Satan being a parasite and realizing that whatever you're doing in your physical world, meaning Satan is inside you and he causes you to do things physically. God is spiritual and he causes you to do things spiritual, like think. That's what most people need to understand. If they're able to understand that, they'll stop doing a lot of things physically, because they'll start thinking more. That's all God wants. Yeah, focus on talking to your voice. Focus on talking to the voice. Let me tell you something. That's actually what I'm telling you. You're Jacob. You need to wrestle with God. God is your thoughts. This is what you're doing whenever you're thinking. You're wrestling with God. And you must come out and do what is right. You're not wrestling with the God of the whole galaxy. You're wrestling with the God of the world that's causing you to do something that you need to think about. So when you displace your thigh, your hip, it's because beneath your hip is your thigh. And your thigh stands for your thyroid, which is where you get your T cells from. And this is why iodine or ionized cells are extremely important. They want you to deal with something called hydrochloroquine. But the reality is that you need zinc, tonic, iodine, baking soda in the body so that you can bring down the acidity of the cells and literally ionize your cells to reinforce that strength, which is that spark of life. Remember, electricity cannot run unless there's salt in the water. Electricity cannot run unless there's salt in the water. This is why you need baking soda, sodium in your body. The government controls all the elements because we go to their stores and we gotta buy the food that they're creating and their corporations. So we have to go out our own way and grow our gardens and go and buy our elementals like iodine, zinc, mercury, titanium, whatever other metals you might, copper, bronze, you can buy them all. And every day you incorporate some of that into your diet until you bring down your weight and you bring down all the foods that you were eating. So even when you look at water and you have copper pitchers, you have copper bowls, You could put copper, you could put a piece of magnet, all of these things into your water. Yeah, it ionizes the water, meaning it re-electrifies the water, and now if you have any parasites, they flee. It's just like when you take salt and you put salt around a slug. The slug basically explodes from within. It goes into himself and explodes. They hide in our rectum or in our anal canal, in our intestines. So we need to flush them out. This is what the Bible speaks of as well. But the people are clueless to it because their pastors, their preachers don't tell them this. Yeah, they're withholding it. The majority of them are part of lodges. The majority of them, you'll see it. They wear a ring that has the triangle or the compass and the square. Some of them have a star. That means that they're in a brotherhood. This is what those universities like Yale. Yeah, no, but seriously, but we're regular people. I'm talking about when you're talking about in terms of people who run churches that feed a multitude of people water, and they're giving this water that the Bible spoke of, which is poison, to these people, and it causes many to die. That's because they're believing in the water, which is poison, that was given to them by another person who's a billionaire who don't even care about you. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's allegorical. It's not real water. Water is signified as the information that you take in. So, like, for example, the water fountains in the Bible, or the fountains that the Bible speaks of, those are what you find at every corner, which would be your churches. Your waterfalls, that's like your media, where a mass, abundant group of people are receiving that information coming from the media. Your rivers, this is like your congressman, your senate, stuff like that. And then your star or your ocean, your sea, that would basically be the president, or the Pope, or somebody huge that can literally speak to a multitude. So it's allegorical, and it's good that you pointed that out, because it definitely has nothing to do with actual water. Water is good for you. They got different types. You could get Fiji, you could get all of these different types. I technically like water with iodine and baking soda and maybe a little copper in it. And that's pretty much how I drink my water. Yeah, but so when the Bible speaks of Jacob, Abraham, and Isaac going to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, that's not really talking about going to the desert and spending 40 days and 40 nights. What it really... Exactly. So the 40 days and 40 nights that speaks of in the Bible, it's really talking about just you going somewhere where nobody can bother you and reaching that balance. Not the balance between, what's wrong and what's right, but literally finding the balance between your physical flesh and your spiritual you. The spiritual you is called the Holy Ghost. That's the voice that you hear in your mind. The voice that they cannot trap, the voice that they cannot whip or tell what to do, that's called the Holy Spirit. That one is a virgin. He's never met a woman. He's never sinned. He's never done anything. That's your thoughts. Testament made the mind of God wait so that you can literally learn the bull crap that they wanted you to learn, which is all physical. So this way, when you get at this point, you don't know what's right or left. This is what Christ said, that nation won't know their right from their left, and they'll be seeking for a sign, but that perverse nation shall not have one. And remember, the whole Jonah sign, the sign of Jonah is understanding that you are in the body. You are in the body of God. You are the Jonah. You are Jonah, and you're in the body of God. And because you're in the body of God, exactly. You are the micro, and God is the macro. You are a cell in His body. So to give you a better perspective of this, you can look at white people as white blood cells. You can look at black and Latino people as red blood cells. And instead of fighting one another or disrespecting one another, they actually need to work in harmony and figure out what is infecting the body or what is infecting the cells. And once they figure out that it's the parasite that is infecting the cells, which is Satan, they're going to basically eradicate Satan off the earth. In this world or in this reality, you can have all the money, all the gold that you could possibly have, but at the end of the day, once you die, it's worthless. You can't take it with you. The only thing you're taking with Ecclesiastes. Exactly. That's the three things. Those are the three. The church has turned it into the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But the three are actually knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So to give you an example, God is knowledge. God is all-knowing. He's the all-I-seeing. That's what God is. Wisdom is basically you in submission to God. You in submission to the all-knowing, all-I-seeing, which is God Almighty. And then the understanding is who you are when you submit to God, which is basically, pretty much the same thing. But when you're looking at the whole knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, when Christ comes, He is the answer. He has the answer for all the problems. That is what I'm trying to show you, that through knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, all evil, all wicked things of the earth will be put to rest. It will be placed beneath His feet, even death. And this is because He will understand how to stay alive. And the way and this is already done. Like, there are people on this earth right now that are immortal. They don't die. Exactly. So now, I just wanted to move it over to another question he had stated, which is, what do we do? The government is quarantining us and it's closing in on us. What do we do? Was his question. And this is where you have to understand that you don't do nothing physical. Physically, you're only doing what they are predicting you to do. So you don't want to do what they're predicting you to do. What you want to do is you want to stay where you're at, and you want to go and get in touch with yourself, with your spirit, with the Holy Ghost inside you, which is basically by communicating with your thoughts. You have to speak to God. God is not outside you. God is inside you. You are the temple of God. So because you are the temple of God, you need to speak to Him just like you're speaking to me, just like you're speaking to your viewers. Exactly. Because everything is information. because time is running out. So you have to understand that the whole quarantine process is because everything will close in. And in the switch of a light switch, you can basically say in a switch of an eye or a blink of an eye, the frequency of the sun will basically get raised, and the frequency of their technology that they have out here, that will get raised. It will be so high that you will not be able to tell reality from fiction. You can't do that right now. Some people can't do it right now. But at that point in time, all of the energies or all of the people that are basically thinking about God being a superhero coming in the clouds, you know, like Superman and stuff like that, they're gonna get their wish. Now, their wish is going to be their nightmare. Now, all of the people who can understand that they are energy, what ends up happening is that because they understand that they are energy, they're going to go and they're going to become even higher energy, and they'll be rulers of everything that they are basically understanding they're rulers of. Like I told you, your body is the earth, and because your body is the earth, you are the ruler of the entire earth. But the people who think they're nothing, they're just another person, and that God is somebody outside of them, you have to be very conscious of those people, because those people are the people who you are going to see experiencing nightmares. They're going to be extremely scared and going through a whole bunch of craziness, and the government will be literally whipping them and all of that because they're going to take the chip, and you're not going to be able to do nothing. And then other countries come here and take slaves, and you're not going to be able to do nothing because the people are slaves. They done took the chip, and now they're basically owned by these corporations. This is what most people don't understand. The chip is basically biomechanic. It literally passes from generation to generation, meaning through the blood, through genealogy, because it's made out of biosynthetics, and it's what we call a nucleus. And that's whenever you hear them talking about nuclear energy and stuff like that, they're basically just saying in another form or fashion, time to reprogram the chip. The people are getting too wise, they're waking up too much. And that's when you hear them mentioning about the chip. And this is very important for you to know, because people don't understand why Bill Gates' name is Bill Gates, or he's the creator of Gateway. These are all things that actually mean stuff, and you know that. These are words. These aren't just names. The word bill means body, like a dollar bill. So body, and then you look at a dollar bill, and a doll is a fake mannequin looking thing, a toy, a mini-me, a Barbie, a Ken, right? So then you add that with the word bill, and now you have a fake body. And that's what his name is, the gateway to the bill, to the body. And then the internet is external for what's internal. So basically, the internet is acting like your brain, and what your brain can do in your body, it's acting like that outside of your body. But everyone knows everything. Everyone has those genes in them. All of our cells have cell membranes, just like all of the internets and computers in the world have gigabytes and megabytes of information. That's what your cells is holding. Same thing, megabytes of information, terabytes of information, zettabytes of information. Well, no, in actuality, anyone who is iodine and baking soda, their cells have become ionic. And ionic cells basically absorb radiation. So because they're absorbing radiation, the frequencies of the 5G, when they go up, their cells are they're gonna absorb it. So right now there are people on the earth whose white blood cells are being diminished by the radiation from the sun and from the 5G. This is because they are acidic. They have acidic cells and they have not ionized their body or alkalined their body. No, that wouldn't work because your body's made of electromagnetic energy. And because your body's made of an electromagnetic energy, it means that your body is an antenna. It's like a dial. Yeah, it's exactly. It's like a dial. So when they raise this frequency up, at some point or another, you're gonna have to get off that ground or put your shoes on. You're not gonna be able to stand there forever. So when you go and that's pretty good. Yeah, that's good. I do that too. And Agent Smith, that's probably actually why you can understand what I'm saying. You have to understand that I get on shows and I get on Facebook Lives and I do my YouTubes and other people's YouTubes, and the whole crowd don't understand. Like literally 200, 3,000 people have no clue what the heck I'm talking about. This is because,
Well, yeah, I mean, we gotta kind of, really elaborate on some hugely related to their whole life. But I'm pretty sure that we've been doing a pretty good job. It's very deep.
I try to put it as simple as I can. Sometimes it's difficult because of the nature of the situation. But we're at a time. We're at crunch time. The government wants people to protest and riot. You just saw Trump tweet that. He tweeted that so that people would go out there and hopefully they would riot and fights would break out and stuff like that. And eventually they're gonna orchestrate false flags where two people end up fighting, just like they did with the whole Native American and the MAGA wearing hat kid. Yes, and then in Venezuela, remember, that's what I said in the lecture, and I hold that to this day. When you start seeing Venezuela basically rioting and burning things up and breaking things up, we will be also breaking things up and rioting here, and we'll be facing a war, a world war. And we'll actually go to the war too, but first we'll be rioting against each other. It'll be civil unrest. Yeah, you're already at war in your own physical vessel, and you're also at war with the left and right paradigm. The left and right paradigm that the government has put out here. Yes, the mighty head wound, exactly. So the mighty head wound has to get healed. The only way to get that healed is literally to balance yourself and bring about equality between both the spiritual you and the holy you against your physical carnal you. When you do this and you balance yourself, what happens is that you open up pathways within your neural network that literally causes the reptilian part of your brain to release the hold on the Lacrista. And the Lacrista oil then floods that Euphrates River, or the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is basically that gap that is right between your left hemisphere and right hemisphere, better known as the mighty head wound. That gap is the reason why you have split personalities, why you are constantly doing things and functioning on a dualism level.
derailing. You're right. You're right. Yeah, and when the Lucresta gets released, our brains are in two halves, and that happened because of a sword. It split us in two. A sword is not a real sword. It's a word, meaning a lie. Because everything you're speaking is coming forth as a spell. Everything you're casting. And the troposphere, which is the atmosphere or the ionosphere, reflects whatever you put out. So what's bound in heaven is bound on earth, meaning if I come out and I say, it's gonna rain today, it might not rain at that very moment, but because I put it out there, what ends up happening is that frequency of energy goes into the atmosphere, and if there's any other people around me that are thinking the same thing, guess what? Now that frequency of energy has just grown stronger. So now, next thing you know, clouds form and the rain comes down. That's because everything is actually magnetic. Everything goes according to you. This is why the elites want you to vote for him or vote for her, but never vote for you, because as long as you keep giving them your energy or them your mind to use to put themselves over you, you'll never figure it out. And this is actually told to us in a bunch of movies. Well, a bunch of movies tell us this, but we don't look at it. We don't see that. Even The Matrix, he went to go see the Oracle, and the Oracle said, "What you doing here?" And he said, I came here to see, if I'm the one. And she said, are you? That's because it's really you. You have to get the balance within yourself and your thoughts, and not fall victim to...
Waking up a little bit. You want to go ahead and start speaking again really quick?
Sure. So what I believe is like in the movie Matrix, when he goes to see the Oracle, what ends up happening is that he goes and speaks to the Oracle, and he asks her, she says, "What are you doing here?" And he says, I came to see if I'm the one. She goes, are you? That's because she was basically trying to tell him, in another word, she gives him a little narrative, and in the narrative she's basically saying, if you believe in yourself as much as Morpheus believes in you, then you could be. But until you do, you're not going to. You're not going to be the one.
Wait, so you're not going to be, I think I might have to call you back, man, because it kind of keeps on getting a little bit low when you're talking.
Oh, really?
Yes. We have been talking. This has been a long call. It's been pretty good. We got a lot of information. Right now, we're going to have to wrap up this another full-length show at about a minute and a half.
Okay, no problem. So, we could also do it another day if you want. It's totally up to y'all. You have my number now, too.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Brother Nick and Brother AJ. I really appreciate it. I had a great time. I hope, we were all able to spiritually circumcise our eyes and ears and hearts to, take this message in and, do what we need to do with it, Examine it.
Yeah. No, this is great, man. It's awesome how I met AJ, and I had this idea to do kind of like a Matrix type of show or whatever with ideas, and you showed up, and then you're explaining all these things. I had no idea, so it's my new awakening as well,
Oh, really? I had no idea. I'm so sorry. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have went so deep with it. I thought, you was on the same page.
You're needed in training, Jose, but I'm working with them at a slow pace. They still have that. When I try to get them to go, they're at that case. Yeah, I'm stubborn.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard. It's a lot of programming. And now you got to be debriefed. And that goes back into the military. That's what the whole military thing is, debriefed. Everything you saw was not real. It was part of a simulation program. They tell them all of that. And they believe it.
Exactly, for sure, man. I hope you listening out out there, got some ideas for your own and take this with you. And once again, you can be found on Frequencies of Thought on YouTube.
Yes.
My podcast is The New Awakening on SoundCloud. Just go ahead and search for The New Awakening, and we will see you later.
Awesome. Have a great night, everyone. Knowledge, everyone. Peace.
This here has been pretty much like a remake of a past lecture that took place during a radio interview that was taken down for whatever reason that they had, and I included some more content into it. Right now, we're heading in a direction where the enemy is planning on literally hurting the sons and daughters of God. When you see them kneeling and you see them literally doing all of these things are allegorically aligned to the story of Christ receiving a plaited crown upon his head. That plaited crown, of course, is coming from the one that sits on the throne that, gets to enjoy the 1 hour with the beast. Gets to enjoy the energy of all the other beasts who lend him that energy, which is basically your WHO, World Health Organization. These are people that believe in the occultic, Greek mythology type of religions and philosophies. And most people know a lot of these mythological stories, but they don't understand its true meaning. They don't understand its true reason for even being written. And that, of course, is what makes the enemy so dangerous, that he puts things right before our faces, knowing and understanding that he told us about it, and he let us know about it, and he even let us know the intricacies of certain things, and he allows you to go in and take a peek at anything that you want for as long as you want, while at the same time keeping you diversified consciously and busy on every other level, so that you could never really actually focus on the reality of what it is that these stories are saying, or what he's saying, or he's trying to depict towards you. So the enemy, of course, tries to eliminate the sons and daughters of God, which is what all is about. It's literally about the sons and daughters of God. It's not about everybody in the world. It's literally about them. And we happen to be them. And everything that you have ever seen occur on this earth, whether true or false, only occurred on this earth to sway the minds of the people. You were born into a one world government. On top of that, you were born into a deception from the beginning. Your parents were born into this, and their parents. So it's something that has gone on and on and on for, one could easily say, millennia. From generation to generation, from incarnation to incarnation. And the enemy is at it again, and he's willing to go the distance, as he always tries, and he's gonna try to hurt as many people as possible. But right at that point where he's about to, let's say, pull the trigger, he ends up literally realizing that his time is up. And that's what I've been trying to tell everybody for a pretty long time now. The enemy's time is up. That's it. It's over. We won. The Father won. The sons and daughters of God are no longer just your average human beings. Some of you just don't realize it yet.
but you will. The enemy manages to hurt a vast majority of individuals, and these individuals will be their own people. It won't be none of us or none of you. It'll be simply those that believe in the beliefs that the enemy has used his governments to believe and to propagate all across the globe. And that's who you will see be affected by anything that the enemy tries to do. Those of you who are in these religions, I'm talking to you, because it's you who is going to end up being affected by this, because religions are man-made, all of them, including Christianity. Christianity is a mixture of Egyptology mixed with Greek mythology, and what it is it pays tribute to a beast that was killed with a sword and yet lived. And that same beast that was killed with the sword and yet lived is already here. It's the ones telling you to wear a mask. It's the ones telling you that you can be infected by a virus, as if your body wasn't created perfect by our Lord and Father and Creator of all. And if it isn't, and the atmosphere and the things that are natural elements to this earth, if they affect you, then that would mean the logical thing, that you are not what you're thinking. I've told y'all long ago, you have multiple creations that took place, and you have humankind, which is the ones that God created, men and women, which some of you will call hermaphrodites. And the hermaphrodites have had a mighty head wound which split them. And when that mighty head wound occurred, the enemy went and spliced the genes of these individuals. These are your ancestors. This is the true history. This is what you wanted. You are male and female. You're neither man or woman. You are all. Just like your father, you are in his likeness. And then from them was created mankind. And mankind, along with parasitic entities, Satan, devils, imps, single-celled organisms, have been trying to breed out God's creation, humankind. Hue meaning the trapped frequency of light within the spectrum of the magnetic body of energy that is within all human beings. It's the light source. It's who the Father reflects, or it's who you actually reflect inwardly. Your body is simply a vessel. It's a garment. It's literally a spacesuit. Just like they say when you're naked, you're in your birthday suit. It's your suit. When you look at the word Jesus, I've already told you, your suit. When you look at the word Jesuit, I've already told you, Jesuit. When you look at the word Jerusalem or Jerusalem, you're looking at Salem, which is the peace of Heru, the peace of Christ, the peace of the Son that is within man. That's what it's talking about. It isn't talking about anything other than that. I'm sorry to say. So if you are being affected by the going-ons that are occurring upon this earth right now, which is the irradiation of the cells, which is basically called the transfiguration within all scripture, all tablets, and all books that deal with spirituality. These things are what's changing within man. Human, meaning
The men who were split into two, which is why they have their brains split down the middle, and they're dealing with their positive and negative, feminine and masculine aspects of themselves, and they must bring it to a balance. And that's what the sun is currently doing through the ions, which are bringing forth awareness within all men and women that belong to our Father. He is raising them up, and they will be as one. This is in your scriptures. And they will all know who they are. They will all know what the past is, and they will all know who the Son is. It will no longer be a mystery. The devil gave the world a mystery God so that he can lead you into slavery, mental slavery. That's what he did. The devil is the grafted part of the dirt of the earth, the most lowest of the low of the things, the scavengers of the earth, the parasites, the slugs, the worms, the creeping things, as the scriptures say. And those creeping things have gone on to find a way to go inside of man, and instead of serve man, basically to keep them healthy and safe from all diseases, they decided, hey, we can control this person if we just block this neural nerve over here and reconnect this nerve over here to communicate with this aspect of this nerve, and we've got our own vessel. Now we don't have to slither on our bellies anymore. We get to experience life and be as gods. This is what occurred. I'm telling you. And all things shall be revealed, and many of you will have to deal with it. You were all afforded a soul. You was all afforded to be, as the scriptures say, grafted in. You took the word Gentile and tried to not allow yourself to realize that that word means gene tile, that which is edited within the body, the molecular construct. These things are said and done so that you could think that it isn't possible. And many of you actually do. I see you all the time in your cars with your mask on, in your stores with your mask on, you know, walking down the street holding hands with your girlfriend with your mask on, you know, and that's cool. Precautions is great. But you are not to live like that. That's not what you were intended for. Just remember, a few months ago, you didn't even own a mask. And now everywhere you go, you wearing one. Everywhere you go, you feel that you need to have one on. And it's become a part of your life. That is the enemy that's doing that. Everyone right now should be literally dealing with their inner self and getting to know who they truly are and why they truly do the things that they do. So that was this lecture. I'll try to come up with another lecture for you guys, speaking on many other things. So we'll close this here, and I'll send this out for all of you out there. Knowledge, everybody. Peace. The enemy want to keep you in your flesh. You want to keep you in your carnal vessel. But this is beyond matter. This is way beyond matter. Your mass is matter. This is beyond that. This is beyond the god Molech, which is short for molecule. When molecules group together, they literally create what we call tables and chairs and all these different things that have mass. That's what molecules do. That is who the enemy of our Father is. That is who the enemy of the Most High is. It's mass. It's matter. It's the material and what makes up that material. What is actually filling up that material substance in this world that Satan is using as his weapon against you, while at the same time using your emotions to supersede your intelligence. And the mass is all that he's using to basically show you something before you, which is the illusion. And you are grasping, you are reaching out and grasping the matter, the material, the mass, and you're thinking that this mass, this material, this matter is what it is, or is worth more than the spiritual aspect, which is yourself. This is what makes up this spiritual war, that we must learn to let go of the things of the world. You cannot take it with you. You cannot do anything with it. It won't even defend you. It won't keep you safe. But your soul will. Your soul is literally the nefesh, which is another word in Hebrew for the word psyche. Your psyche is your mind. The scriptures tell you it's a spiritual war. You were born in the deception. You was born literally with a chip inside you called a nucleus, and this nucleus is literally what they're using to literally engineer your genetics through the things that you are interacting with on a day-to-day basis, all day, every day. Why? Because matter is trying to supersede the spirituality of your very being. That's why. Now let's go into a little Matthew. Matthew 24, 36, all the way up to 45. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord has made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season. In case you didn't get it, I'm going to go all the way back up. Understand that meat is data. Meat is information. Meat is knowledge. Meat is basically something that fattens you. Not physically fattens you, but consciously could be used forever. So going back into Matthew 24:40. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. In case you haven't noticed, that references to the womb, or should I say the matrix, which literally means, as I've explained earlier, the bride is your consciousness, and you have to learn to understand the wisdom that you have enough to literally marry it to the groom, because the groom is the two wings of an eagle. Basically, it is your thoughts, which literally comes and it takes you to a safe place and it feeds you. Did we not say, did it not just say that it was going to give you meat? That is the information or the knowledge or the data that you're going to need in order to survive and undergo and pass this problem that we're about to step into. So pay attention to how I explain this verse for you right here. This is literally at 45. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord has made ruler over his household to give them meat at due season. The word meat is the word me at. When you combine them together, they create the word meat. Who is it talking about? You receiving at the right time, at due season. Who is it talking about? Remember, the word season is also the word sea and sun. And remember that one comes from the midst of the people, and he gets raised up out of the midst of the people. That is the sea, sun. So the one that it's talking about, where it's stating me at do see sun, it's literally saying me, thought, at the sea, which would basically be the internet or all the information that you can gain on the internet. And I am the son, just like you are the son or the daughter of God. And that's what it is saying, because I come under the name of my father. My father's name is called thought. And many will deny me because I come under the name of my father, and they will accept he who comes under his own name, and they will be deceived by him. But I am coming under the name of my father, who is thought. And me at due season is who all of you need at this very moment. You need thought. Frequencies. Salah.